Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Rebecca the Ghost Guide kind of live. Yeah, the live thing has just not really been working out for so many different reasons, time zones, states, and differences as of late. And that opening, well, it may be one of the last times you actually hear that. As you may know, I have been on a hiatus for I don't even know how long at this point. Maybe it's been a month. I really don't remember. I'm also doubling this to go as part of my outlook for my Patreons this month of June 2025. Why am I doing this? I have all the updates ever. Ever. We're talking Sacred Spaces Gathering. We are talking new jewelry with Lala Lotus Co. We are talking new Patreon tiers. We are talking new benefits. We're talking new content. And hey, if you're wondering this time around where in the world, quite literally, that I am right now, I'm back in Wilmington, North Carolina. I missed being here. And if you happen to be watching the video of this, perhaps you were listening on the podcast, and you noticed my skin looks particularly dewy, well, inside the van, it's probably well over 90 at this point. And I'm happy about it. I have a little fan going. It's my really not so fancy AC that I have shown to different community groups through Twilight Lantern on this point because it's just funny to me. Ooh, I have to be honest. I am so excited to be sharing this, and I've been gathering everything together in order to better organize what in the world I'm going to be talking about. But now that it's actually here and I'm actually sitting here with makeup on in a 90-degree van with high humidity back in Wilmington, the place that I love, and ready to actually do the thing, now is the time that my tongue is like, do we want to work now? Is this what we are doing? So let me first catch you up on where I'm going and where I've been in particular, because without understanding where I have been, it's not going to make as much sense as to where I am going. And hey, if you're watching this for the outlook, I am going to put some timestamps down on this, so it's totally cool if you want to skip ahead, but I'm just saying there are going to be some big updates that if you are a part of my Patreon on any of my tiers, you will really want to listen to this. I am going to be sending out other emails to my Patrons as well, though there are big changes coming and it affects basically everybody. Not in a negative way, but it does affect everybody. So do be sure to listen to that. I have included timestamps in the description of this on all platforms that I'm sending it out on. Okay, that being said, all right, how did I get to where I am? Well, I'm going to be real with you. For 2 years now, I figured it out. I have been creating content to try and prove something. You know that feeling that you get when something hits and you finally say it out loud and it causes an emotion? I've been trying to prove something. I've been trying to prove my worth. I've been trying to prove to myself that I'm a psychic medium, which I know is really wild to think about, right? You're like, Rebecca, of course you're a psychic medium. Well, I also had to prove that to myself. And I think the elephant in the room is I had to prove it enough to make money from it. Content creation, well, people make money in different ways. I was selling services such as mediumship consultations and courses and workshops, and in some extent myself, my time and where I went and who I saw and that sort of thing. And because I had to survive, basically what ended up happening was I had to keep proving that what I was doing was worth spending money on, which is not a great place to be in. I, at my core, am an artist. I've always been an artist ever since I can remember. And I want to trust the system. I want to trust that the money will come through, that the bills will get paid. Though then I got really good at what I was doing. You know, I was looking at the numbers of my following count and how many consultations I had. At one point, I was sold out for consultations for a year in advance and then some. And back then, I was doing consultations 3 times a week for sometimes 6 hours a day. And should I also mention, for about 8-month period of time, I was doing consultations for about 6 hours a day for sometimes 6 days a week. Now, if any of you have done a reading before, and then if you've done 5 readings right after that, 6, 7, 8, and then you wake up the next day and do it, you might notice you get kind of drained from doing that. Because if you're doing a reading authentically, it's a 100% thing. You can't just give it a small percentage and have it be the best. And maybe that's just my work ethic speaking, but that is how I run things. That is who I am. If I'm going to be doing something, I'm going to be doing it 100%. And I've always upheld that expectation for myself. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, or maybe behind myself, or something like that. So basically, what ended up happening was quick timeline. Back in 2021, I was like, ooh, I miss being creative. I miss acting. I miss writing. I miss editing. I want to do that. What if I wrote skits? Okay, I went viral. Again, cool. Yes, awesome. And that's what it grew to. And then from there, it was, okay, I think I feel confident-ish enough to actually do mediumship and psychic stuff in consultations now. I'll open that up. And then within like a few days, I sold out 3 months in advance. I put in my 2-week notice at my job at the time, and I was like, cool, I am off. Then I had to make money doing the thing. I had to be able to survive off of crowdfunding through Patreon, which thank you Patreons to this day, and selling my services as a psychic medium. And then on top of that, I was also trying to create skits, but I realized my income was dictated by people going to those services after they saw the skit. And so if you kind of see the trail that is happening right now, yeah, I started looking at things from a monetization point of view. Though I was also really, really, and I've always really cared so much about people learning how to hone their own psychic skill sets and feel like they are in control of whatever they are perceiving around them. There were kind of like 2 facets happening to the creative process. It was 1, helping people to better understand their psychic skill sets, and 2, be able to make enough money to get by. And that's when my content started to take some turns. And I was still doing the creative thing, but once again, my objective behind the creative thing had changed, right? And then on top of that, I was trying to answer everybody's questions in the comments. I was trying to create Q&A kinds of videos. I was going live just to answer those Q&As, and I was trying to do more and more and more and more and more. And I was answering a lot of the same question, and I kept trying to point people back to my Patreon and be like, hey, I have this thing, and it's $10. Like, it's just $10 and you can learn. And yeah, some people took to it, but a lot of people just didn't. And like, I started to take that personally. I was just like, but it's just, they could get it if they only, like, we put our priorities where we find things to be the most important. Some people would rather get another shirt with that $10. Okay, I get it. Why did I take it so personal? Like, I just felt so strapped. Like, I felt like my energy was everywhere because I just wanted to help people and I wanted to get by at the same time. And it led to burnout. On top of that, you may have noticed with my later skits, a lot of them happened through consultations because that was the only kind of spiritual thing that was going on for me. Like, I realized the hypocrisy here. It turned into me having spiritual experiences and having validations by working with other people. How this all started, I took walks alone and I found ghosts. If all of this change that I've experienced since the beginning of January, when I finally started doing van life stuff, I realized I hadn't given myself any time to do that. And I hate that. Like, and if there's anything that I'm sorry about, it is that. I'm sorry that while I was still, talking with my guides and doing readings for myself and, going to haunted places, it wasn't for me anymore. It was, what skit can I get out of this experience? What video can I get out of this? How can I teach something from this experience? And that's not how I got into all of this. like it's a part of who I am, but I wasn't being true to myself. And so you see this kind of pattern from like this past year, really, of me pulling back and pulling back and pulling back. And I still couldn't figure it out. I still couldn't figure out why I didn't feel creative. I still couldn't figure out why I was so burnt out. At one point, I was hardly working at all. But even just like answering comments like on videos was getting exhausting for me. And that's not me. That's not who I am. I am excited to talk to people. I am excited to meet people. So I realized something was wrong, which is why I went back to a dream that I've had for 8, 10 years, like for a really long time now, which was doing van life. And that was my hard reset. I didn't realize it at the time, but when I set off, it was to figure out how in the world do I find myself again? How do I find me so that I can bring what matters to me back to my content in a way that will resonate with people the way it used to. And let me tell you, it took 3 months and 5 trips back and forth across the continent to finally get to this conclusion. I needed to live life in order to be fulfilled enough to be creative again. And one day on my way back from the West, I was at the Great Salt Lake looking over this lake, and it hit me. I knew what I wanted to do. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you from here on out. This is what I'm doing this year. And it's as much moving forward as much as it is being reminiscent of where I came from. Everything happens for a reason. I still do believe that, even if I am angry at the reason from time to time, even if I also deal with the feeling of, was that waste? Did I ruin that? Have I gone backwards, etc.? Well, hey, that's what my therapist visits are for. And honestly, that's a whole other subject. Here's the thing. Here's what I've learned. I can still do it all as long as I'm being true to myself. So what the heck does that mean? Okay, well, in the moving back, hey, guess what? Ghost skits are coming back. That's going to be the primary of my channel. I realized too, when I was scrolling Instagram, I was like, oh, like I followed somebody and then immediately I wanted to see that content again. And then I had to go through their page and be like, oh, well, where do I find that content again? And I was so caught up for the last few years of looking like I knew what I was talking about, looking like I was some kind of authority, looking like I might be able to offer hope to somebody or making people feel seen, that I fell off with skits because I was trying to answer everybody else's everything at any given time. I thought it was somehow saving me time and effort later if I could just answer the questions enough so that I wouldn't keep having to answer them. But hey, that's not how the internet works. Here's the difference. With the skits, they're going to be more one-shots. They're going to be more evergreen content. I'm going to be more responsible with the energy that I put in my videos. For example, I'm not going to be lacing any kind of connection back to the spirits that I am talking about. There will be no lines that lead back to them. So you can watch that skit and there's no connection that the viewer can have to that specific ghost through my performance, because yes, that has happened. If you want to go have your own experiences, you're going to have your own experiences, and it can't be through me. I'm energetically cutting that because I understand how to do it now. Now, I'll still be talking about the spaces. For some of the people, I'm still keeping their names, but I am giving them their own protection so that things don't get out of hand the way that they have in the past. So that's part of it. I will be posting skits. I will not be posting them as regularly anymore. In fact, you're probably going to get one a week. But with that, it's going to come with a bunch of other content. So, for example, with every ghost skit, there will be a podcast episode, which is a reading from a chapter in the book that I am writing. The reading will provide more context, historical information, as well as you get to know more of the story rather than, like a 90-second skit. So you can really understand more of what's going on, more of how I'm perceiving, more of how the ghost is looking to me, more description, etc. So you can really get the full story. And on top of that, when applicable, I'm going to be interviewing people from the sites that I was at so you can get even more information. Hopefully, you are inspired to travel as well. So basically, in the podcast moving forward, you're going to get a little bit of the skit because I'm going to play the skit at the beginning. And then I'm going to actually get into the podcast, read the chapter from the book, and then either have a talk back or an interview at the end. So it's going to be threefold, right? And then from there, yeah, I mentioned I'm writing a book. So I'm not going to be releasing any of this until the book is already out. I'm just going to do a self-publish. It's going to be like autobiographical basically, which that's cool. And you can buy it all at once. It'll just go to the Amazon KDP Publishing, and I'm also going to be releasing an audiobook. So if you don't want to wait each week for that chapter, for that skit, you can just go and buy it. I would appreciate that. So that's the option as well. And then, even as you're reading it or listening to it, because I am going to be recording the audiobook because it's going to the podcast, you can go back each week and you can watch the skit. You can go back each week and listen to the talk back or the interview. As of now, it's 13 chapters, nothing too crazy long. I'm just being kind to myself and I'm just being more straightforward. How I talk is how the narration will come about. And for most of the month of June, I'm going under a rock and I'm writing this thing. I'm recording this thing. I am editing the thing. It's going to be the thing. And honestly, it doesn't feel like work. That has been the biggest issue I've had, from this past year. I've been living this dream of myself and so many other people. I've actually been doing the thing, but it all felt like work because why? Rather than having the energy of the thing coming from the ground up, I was pulling it from around me. And that's the thing that I tell people not to do. But I didn't realize that that's exactly what I was doing within this context because I hadn't seen it before. I had hardly seen it with how people do consultations and that kind of thing. I had rarely seen it in readings. This was something entirely for me to have to figure out. And boy, did I figure it out at this point. Basically, once I realized what I was doing, I kind of checked something off the list and I was like, cool. And then I went to another city and then I went to another city. And by the way, if you know anything about Interstate 80, it's a lot of nothing until you actually reach the cities. Once I realized it, I was just like, cool. I can go home now. It's very much, okay, Forrest Gump moment, right? When he goes running for years. And then all of a sudden he kind of stops and he did it. And he's just like, I think I'm going to go home now. That was me. And then I hightailed it back home because I was like, I figured it out. And I'm excited. And I don't have the same fears that I had before. I was so worried about making enough money, of being enough, of proving something, of all this stuff. No, I'm going back to my basics. I'm a storyteller. Believe or don't believe. I hope you enjoy the story. That's it. And I can still have personal relations, friendships and even close familial ties with ghosts and spirits, etc. And they can be entirely mine, and I don't need to share that. I don't need to share that to understand it anymore. Wow. How cool, right? I figured it out. So truly, if you needed a sign from the universe or whatever to go switch up your life to better understand your psyche, so long as you do it responsibly and you don't hurt anybody else, go do it. And also, I'm going to give another shout out here. My partner and my mom, my close friends, I do this from time to time. I got air signs all up and down my chart, but that I'm not going to use that as the reason why I do these things. Sometimes I just need hard resets. Sometimes I just need to figure something out and to be supported by people around me who are just okay, I trust you and I understand. Oh my God, that means so much to me. I've had people in my life in the past who are very needy and they're very much well, what about me? And I'm just you're an adult? What do you mean, what about you? I always come back. I'm like a planet, I'm circling and then I come back. For me to best understand myself is the way that I can be the best friend, the best partner, the best daughter, the best content creator, the best storyteller, whatever. And I feel good about it. I feel so good about it. I haven't felt this good in a long time. This also comes with gratitude to you who are listening, to my Patreons. You've seen me grow. Like, I got on TikTok in late 2019, and I shot to the top pretty fast. I've seen how, like, my face looks and how it's changed over the years, and how I can see how I've changed over the years. When I see videos, I also see everything that's going around the video. The people that I've lost, the friends that I've gained, the businesses, the changes, the partners, the collaborators, the this, that, and the other. And I'm finally in a place where I can make peace with that. I feel like I've been working to forgive myself for a lot of different things over time. I take this responsibility so seriously. I take leadership so seriously. I nearly stepped away from all of this because I thought I was a bad leader, because there were some folks that were saying some things about me that it hurt me. And I was just like, am I fake? Am I really not supposed to be doing this? Like, am I truly an authentic and genuine person? And I nearly stepped away. And I really have to thank those of you who stuck by me and who said, Rebecca, you gotta let those go. You just gotta be yourself. You can't please everybody. They can't please themselves. Why are you taking it upon yourself to please them? We live, we learn, and now I'm in my 30s, right? I know for some of you who have really been following closely, it's a little... I feel like it's felt like a little bit like whiplash, and maybe it hasn't, because we're all going through our own things, and, there's... Even though it's only been so long, it feels like we've been living 5 years in the last one alone. You following me and continuing to believe in me, even as I've been in this sort of like here, there, everywhere changes. Let's try this. Let's throw this at the wall. Let's let's throw this at the fan. Let's see, like that kind of thing. I'm so honored and grateful that you were like, cool, I still like Rebecca. I still want to listen to Rebecca. I still want to hear what stories she has to share. I still want to learn from her, even though she's like living life. So thank you for that. Thank you for that patience, and thank you for that grace. And here we go into another one. Though I feel settled in this. It doesn't feel like I'm reaching outside of myself. It really feels like this is coming from something deeper than me. I'm ready to be a storyteller again, simply for the sake of being a storyteller and actually understanding, trust that what I put out there can come back to me. And it doesn't have to leave me feeling exhausted or less than or desperate. Let's move forward, huh? And on that note, okay, announcements. I've got announcements. Okay. Oh my goodness. And then after that is the outlook. I promise. Things are changing for Patreon. Long story short, when I first started Patreon, I was recommended to have like all the tiers ever. I didn't really want all the tiers ever, but I didn't really understand the difference in that. And then my Patreon took off. And then suddenly I had folks in every single tier. And I was like, oh, well, what do I do with this? I have too many tiers. I'm going to be lowering the amount of tiers just to make it less confusing. So that way, when people are looking on my Patreon, they've got 4 options and the free option. So technically 5 options instead of like right now, which they're like 8 or something like that. And here's the thing. The options, the tiers that have the most folks in them, those are still remaining, right? It's only a few tiers. They're changing. There are also going to be a few different price differences. For my free Patreons, the outlooks, you're going to get it all in full. All in full, week by week, as I'm feeling, etc. Cool. Thanks for being here. I treat the free membership tier as a kind of newsletter. I'm not so much doing the quarterly newsletters anymore because well, it was just like a numbers thing after a little while. And I was just like, I got the podcast. I think we're good. So, yeah, join for free. There's also Quakerish, as I feel so led to do that. And yeah, you get updates, and when I put out content after it's been made public, you get access to that as well without having to necessarily follow me closely on a social. So thank you. Thanks for being here. Then for the $5 tier, which I already have, from here on out, yes, you will get shorts. You will get the extended shorts as they are. So like kind of firsthand looks into the psychic game content as I make those, which I've got, goodness, like 4 or 5 of those coming out from anywhere across the country. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's also general support. I used to do all my pre-release skits there. Yeah, they'll still probably be pre-released, maybe in bulk. We'll see. Though, really, it's $5 and it's general support, and I appreciate y'all supporting me as you can. You will also have access to my booking link. Now, the way that my consultations are set up is I have 3 options that are available to the public. 2 are 10-minute options. One's a psychic skill set read. The other one is a what do you need to know kind of read. And then the third option is a 30-minute psychic mediumship consultation. That is the way it is now. I hold the ability to change that as I see fit, and I'm just going to put that out there. So book as you like. It's there right now. That being said, for all of my paid Patreons, it's $5 and up. You will get access to the full booking link, which is the Soul Journey readings, which is a 90-minute reading. You can do that for yourself, or you can do it for 2 people. Also, the hour-long reading, I have that, as well as the Intuitive Business Consult, which is an hour as well. Why do I do that? Well, why not? I want to give more to those who are giving more to me. I appreciate you. So I'm giving you availability to have more of my time and actually to get deeper into the subjects that we're covering. Next up, courses. Okay, so right now it's $10. And if you want to be grandfathered in for the $10, you need to get it now. Because if you leave and come back, it will be $15. I have almost 30 courses at this point. It's 30 hours of stuff. I feel like it's a valid upcharge, personally. I understand if you do not agree with that, though. That's it. I'm gonna put value behind all the work that I am doing and how I have made this very accessible. Now, here's the thing: if you don't want to keep up with the subscription, you can get all the 101 courses for, I believe it's $111. And you don't need a subscription for that. You can also go through their various courses that you can buy individually for, I think, $11.11, depending on the one. So if subscriptions are not your thing, it is okay. I do have options for that. I am also selling e-copies of all of my journals, which is Spirit Space and Dream Space, Manifest Space, Body Space, and Ghost Space, which is a ghost field journal. The e-copies are on Patreon. The physical copies you can find on Amazon. All of that will be under the journals tab on my website, and I'll also link it below. You will also get the Google Map. Right now, the $15 tier is the Google Map. Basically, this Google Map is something that I have been updating across the country now. I'm trying to do my best to update with the descriptions as well, but basically, any of the cities that I have gone to where I have had ghostly experiences, you can pull up that map and be like, whoa, I can go there now too. So also, yeah, if you visit Wilmington, there are so many. You can take basically a free walking tour with that Google map with that subscription. So would highly recommend, plus a bunch of other cities as well that I've done that. Now, I mentioned the grandfathering in. So if you're paying $10 right now for courses, having that being grandfathered into the $15. I recently figured out that I could do this with Patreon, and I'm going to try to do this with everybody as much as possible so that prices don't have to change as much. If I can grandfather you in, I will, because I want to honor all of you that are here right now as much as possible. That being said, if it is a tech related thing, if I am unable to do it, you might get an email saying, hey, thank you so much for being a part of my Patreon. Please pick another tier. Move up or down, any sort of whatever resonates best with you. But for what I can do, if you are currently on courses for $10, I'm going to do my best to grandfather you in so that even though other people will be charged $15 for courses, you will still get the $10. Same thing with any of these tiers. Okay. Next up, the community tier. that's still going to be the same. Still $25 a month. With any group that you are a part of, you will be paying dues. That's what these are. The dues are covering a lot of things. These dues are managing the organization of the group itself. And remember, with that community, you get numerous calls throughout the month that are organized and they're fun, and we have ethical conversations on spirituality, anything from spiritual study hall to Motion Code Monday, which shout out to my mods who are running that. Wow. Like, you get to have time with people who are on their spiritual journey and learn with them. Or Emotion Code Monday, you get time with Krista to learn more about emotion code and body code, all of these things that I feel like a lot of people have questions on, and you can ask them from a professional who can also demonstrate in real time how she does things. Krista is a gem, and I hope all of you are taking advantage of Emotion Code Monday. We've got the social call, which, by the way, by the time this comes out, the social call for May will have already happened, and we will have a probably not so secret but super cool handshake that we can do when we meet up at Sacred Spaces Gathering and beyond. Bitch, yes, I'm going to get into Sacred Spaces Gathering if you haven't already heard the announcement. Anyway, there's Intuitive Entrepreneurship Club, where we support one another's entrepreneurial and passions and hobbies and anything that you want to do that requires some kind of organization in order to move forward. Angela leads that. She is a professor in this. She is a professor in entrepreneurial ventures. Wow, how lucky are we to have her? I hope more people will join that and utilize that. We are doing a lot in the community, and the coolest thing that has come out of that is friendship. I've seen people become best friends through these calls in the community. You just stay on and you talk about stuff. And then, we have opportunities to meet in person. How cool is that? I don't think you can put a price on that, but I put something on it because something's got to be put there, right? The next tier and the last tier for the foreseeable future will be the workshops tier. Now, that one is being currently combined with the Ultimate Fans and the workshop. It's going to be $55. And honestly, still looking at what my colleagues charge for a monthly workshop, that's also, I'm not going to say a steal, but it's lower. But here's the thing. I also get joy out of doing the workshops. Like, I love seeing how people grow, and I love working with them on that. I love helping them, in real time, understand their experiences. And I love also hearing their feedback. It's a chance for me to also ask other people questions and treat them more like colleagues. And we have a really great thing going on there. It's not a huge group, and I've just really enjoyed it. So that's why it's lower instead of being about $250 or $300 as I'm seeing with my colleagues, which, by the way, nothing against them. I'm happy for them. I chose my prices for a variety of different reasons, and they're right for me, at least for right now. That being said as well, the workshop tier is the only tier that's going to be getting the workshop recordings from here on out. That just seems fair. That being said, just because of how a variety of things are working right now, I will only be hosting one workshop call a month. It used to be two. It was a reads workshop and a Q&A workshop. I'm going to be combining those, so it's going to be roughly an hour to a 90-minute call once a month. And I think that's just going to work out better as a whole. Now, here's the thing. If that tier totally takes off and I see more than, let's say, 20 to 25 people per call, that means I get to open up another call. And folks get to pick which workshop they want to go to that month. For some time now, I wanted to do a daytime call because night times can be funky, especially with time zones. But there has not been enough in-person attendance in order for me to do that, in order for me to justify that. So here's your opportunity if you're like, whoa, will she do a daytime thing or another? Yeah, if the interest is there, I would absolutely love to do that because honestly, by the time the sun goes down, I'm in my PJs ready to go sleep. But I stay up for events such as this. Okay, so if you are not a part of any of those tiers and you happen to be part of another tier, I will try to grandfather you in. This is the $20, the $30, and the $40 tier right now. This is your sign to change your tier. Please and thank you. If you do not change your tier, you're going to get an email from me at some point just being like, hi, please change your tier. Because basically, one thing that I do agree with Patreon is it will not just change your tier. It won't bump you from one or the other. It certainly will never bump you up in cost, which I think is very responsible. So the tiers that will be available to you, and I will put this out there, will be the $5, the $15, the $25, and the $55 tiers. Those will be it. Now, you have a month, 1 month, so you have until July 1st to figure out your tier. Come July 1st, everything gets switched over. Huzzah. Now, if you're a part of a pre-existing tier right now that has a benefit associated with it, such as discounts on consultations, you need to use those. You need to use those right now. Now, you can book as far in advance as you want, but you got to use them. If for some reason you cannot use them, send an email to my assistant, info@RebeccaTheGhostGuide.com, and say, hey, I'm a part of this tier. This is the benefit that I have for this tier. I've been a part of this tier for X amount of time. I have not used it. I would like to notate this so that I can use it later. That is your only way to save that benefit. Otherwise, once this switch goes over, I will not have access to who had what tier. Either book as far in advance as you want, or email my assistant, info@RebeccaTheGhostGuide.com. Please do not DM me this, even in Patreon, because I will get overloaded. Let her handle this. That is what she does. Thank you kindly. As I keep throwing my post-it note around. Other thing, merch. Merch will be going away. If I can figure out how to have the merch finish out, so like say you've been waiting for a particular thing for merch for like 6 months or something because it goes quarterly, I will absolutely keep that. But I will not be having new merch. I will not be restoring the merch simply because I have not been pleased with the quality of the Patreon merch. I do not have it at my van, house, apartment, etc. It is completely done through Patreon, and I have not been impressed with the quality of it, and I've truly been unhappy with it, and I don't want to support that anymore. That being said, I am looking to actually do like merch where basically you can just go and buy it. So if you want it, you can just buy it. How cool is that? You don't have to wait. Yay. Speaking of merch. Okay, I'm going to show you. So if you're not watching the video, watch it now, because do you see these earrings? Do you see this necklace? Do you see this bracelet here? Yes, that is part of the Twilight Lantern Spirit Fam collection, long name, with Lala Lotus Co. Okay, so these came out a little while. I made it exclusive to the Twilight Lanterns. You can see it there. There's a little lantern on there. These are our little bracelets that a bunch of people got already, and it makes me so excited. I've actually done a social post with people wearing their bracelets in various places with your various tattoos and your various like fashion choices and all that stuff, and it makes me very happy. I love the individuality. But on top of this, if you want a matching necklace, or if you want these little earrings here, we also have other earrings available as well. You can do that, and it's all a part of the Twilight Lantern line / collection under the Spirit Fam collection, which is going to be growing over time. You will see that. You will see that in a moment. You will see that in time. Yes. One thing with this, it's like really, really cool. So you'll see this is a locket, and I actually have juniper berries from Sedona in this locket. And the whole idea is it's similar to the Rebecca the Ghost Guide necklace that is still available if you're interested in that. I've actually got it. So this is the Rebecca the Ghost Guide necklace. I've got little crystals down in mine. Though the whole idea is, even though it's similar Same thing with this necklace here. Even though it's similar, we're all unique and we can all put unique things into our little lockets. So if that is of interest to you, I will also leave a link to Lala Lotus Co.'s website. She is somebody, I actually finally met her in person this year. I've been working with her for almost 4 years now. And the reason why I started working with her was she gifted me some jewelry after a reading. And it was the cleanest jewelry I think I have ever touched. And I was like, this person is talented. She makes all of these by hand. She makes all this stuff by hand. And she puts a lot of effort into understanding where she's getting materials from. She Reikis everything, and she is so kind and so responsive. And we actually have a few different size options now so that we can be more inclusive with people's wrist sizes and people's necks and all that kind of thing. By the way, these are not the only earrings. They're going to be a few different kinds, so definitely check those out. Check out the options. I love all of her stuff. And the thing that is so exciting to me is having worked with her for years, and then I see these collaborative jewelry pieces from both myself and Spirit and Ghost and her all come together, and then I get to see them come into very literal fruition when people wear them. So thank you for support over time. I hope you will check these out because I just feel so magical when I'm wearing them, and I want to share that experience with you. Also, should we meet, whether it be consultation or in person, if you have this, I want to know, what did you put in your locket? I have juniper berries. What do you have? At least I have juniper berries right now. I might change those up. We will see. Speaking of potential in-person opportunities, Sacred Spaces Gathering. We have information out now. So you can go to sacredspacesgathering.com. It is going to be August 15th and 16th, I believe. Yes, it's the Friday and Saturday. It's only 2 days this time. It's kind of like a day and a half thing going on. Just because, well, as we said in our email to all of the people who have come before and we invited them back, we basically said gestures broadly at the world that we are in. So we made it a little smaller. We lowered the price from before as well, and that's how we were able to make it smaller. And it's a time to come hang out with some really cool people. We would love to expand back to how we have done things in the past, but right now with the climate being what it is for a variety of reasons, it's just not the right time. But we wanted to do something because we also enjoy getting together. And I also wanted to be more of a person this time around. We really loved how Sacred Spaces Getaway allowed for us to be more like people and actually meet other people. And so that's what we want to do this time around. So if you want to hang out with some really cool people and you want to wear your merch and you want to talk about what is inside of your lantern and do our super cool, not so secret handshake once we've figured it out by the time this thing has come out, you can. So check out sacredspacesgathering.com because I think it would be the coolest thing to be in a room with you in August. No matter what happens, we can still gather together. We can be ethical in our spiritual understandings. We can be responsible and we can be grounded, all while supporting one another. So come out and join us. I would love to have a sacred space in a gathering atmosphere with you. Okay, I'm getting too cutesy, so I'm going to stop. But yes, that is out by now. Yay. Okay. The other big thing that is on the horizon, my big show. That was another dream I got to check off the list. Yeah, my big show. I have been talking about this for almost a year now. And I had been waiting for some producer to come in on a white horse and sweep me off my feet and to be able to fund this show in a way that was not going to be like every other psychic medium paranormal investigation show I've ever seen ever. And no one came along, so I had to save myself. I used a significant amount of my savings to make the show. And it is in the hope and the will and the intention that it inspires other people to grow their psychic abilities and to not feel like they have to be afraid of them. Truly, if you're ever wondering what the heck I'm doing with the money that I earn from consultations and from Patreons and stuff like that, not like it's anybody's business. However, I put it towards a show, and I'm going to tell you, for 2 episodes with a professional company, which I love, Wallaby Productions. Wonderful. Had a fantastic time. Anyway, to put that show together for 2 roughly 20-minute episodes, $10,000. $10,000. I am actively using the money that I have earned to give back in the way that I can. I give back in other ways, but that's a whole other subject. Anyway, that'll be out on YouTube at some point. I know I go in next week for some voiceover sorts of things and to see the first draft, I think, which is very exciting. I'm going to put it out on YouTube, and I'm going to will that it gets the attention that's best. Best people always find me. And should it really take off, well, I'll have more money to make more. Because I love paying people. I love paying a production crew, and I love being able to work with others and have everybody feel like they are getting the proper energetic exchange. Like everything else, prices are going up, and people deserve to get paid for things. And one of the coolest things, I got to give 6 people a job for a day. And they're locals, and they got to take that back to their families. And then throughout it, the money also goes to the editors and the directors that are still working and have been working with me. And that's one of the coolest things. So for those of you who have supported me, whether it's getting a reading or joining my Patreon, please know you also help to support not only me, but so many others through the making and the producing and the releasing of this content. I'm very excited for when that comes out. We do not have a date yet, so I will let you know once it's out. I'll probably do like a watch party or something like that on YouTube, so be sure you're looking out for that so that you can join the chat and we can all like chat about it and that kind of thing. Filming that was just a dream come true, and it helped me to reconnect with doing film at all, because that's also what I did before TikTok in a small capacity, but that and performance, if you didn't already know that. Anyway, okay. I think that's all the updates. Cool. Thank you. And I think we are overdue for an energetic outlook read. Moving forward, I will be reading the general energy of the month, what we can all be aware of, and with the understanding that if you are in my Patreon, that you want it more tailored to you to the best of my ability. But as you are listening to this, you also get to be a part of this. And so, I will simply say to those who are open to a reading, to those who are looking to hear the thing that they need to hear rather than the thing that they are looking to hear or wanting to hear or feeling like they have to hear, something like that. No, we are in a position where let's hear what it is most needed to be heard for our outlook of June 2025. What is the collective message for the full month of June? Thank you. For the first quarter. Thank you. Second quarter. Thank you. Third quarter. Thank you. Fourth quarter. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I think 3 of these things, I got them all on the same day. That's really wild. No, I didn't. Okay. But almost the same spot. 3 of them were mudlarking. By the way, I have no stones this time. Very interesting. Okay. First of which, the overall outlook for June is an earring. Let's see. Okay. What does this tell us? Okay, I'm being told to look at the earring. It's very like Celtic symbolism there. Okay. Basically, I saw both sides coming down to the stone, and it said, it's all going to work itself out, but you gotta get there first. Alright. So, already we're gonna feel like we're gonna be weaving and dodging and tying knots and untying knots and figuring out which knots are actually ours to tie and untie and which knots somebody else needs to figure out for themselves, right? It's all going to come down to a purpose. We're all going to get there. The decision you need to make is, how are you going to get there? How are you going to behave? How are you going to take care of yourself? How are you going to take care of others if you choose to take care of others? We're all going to get there. We're all going to get there. First quarter. This is a quarter. The head side up. And then what's on the back side? Ooh, it's the Everglades. There we go. It's the Florida Everglades. It's kind of hard to see. And, yeah, okay, so head side up. Oh, no. The thing that came to mind is some of our natural resources may be capitalized upon. I'm looking back at the national parks. Hey, here's your sign. If you ever wanted to pick up trash somewhere or like clean a toilet for free, I know it sounds wild, but like really, if you ever wanted to do that, see if your national park is looking for volunteers. National parks, national forests. The state parks seem to be okay, though certainly the national parks, because they are underfunded right now, intentionally, unfortunately. And the poor park rangers are so overworked. They need to hire new ones. It's been that way for a while. We need to protect those places. Same thing. I feel like some basic necessity stuff is going to be going up. So here's your sign. Pay attention to your bills, your water bill in particular, potentially your power bill. Make sure you're not getting overcharged for that stuff, and make sure that you don't have any leaks. Okay. We are living in a time where a lot of corporations are seeing how far they can go to get away with things. Hey, they don't have to. They don't have to. Okay. For example, a apartment complex of a friend of mine right now is not fixing everything expediently, and they only have one person working, and they're almost at full capacity, so they have plenty of money to have a few more maintenance people on staff, but they're just not doing it. And then like the office staff is like randomly not there and that kind of thing. What can you do about that? You can get your fellow tenants together and say, all right, what are we going to do to hold them accountable? We're going to put up signs and, basically tell new renters that they shouldn't move here. Like, are we going to get together and say, hey, we're going to withhold rent until you actually fix the problem? We do have power, though that power actually does require connecting with other people. So if there were ever any time to get over your social anxiety and understand that if we band together, we do have similar understandings and we can actually help each other out, this is the time. If your device gives you social anxiety, put it down. Put it down. Go talk to people. I'm saying this as an introvert. I lived in a van, and then I went across the country, and then wouldn't you know, I liked talking to people again. Because I got off my phone. Okay? Don't let others give you anxiety for just wanting to have community. Okay? Ooh, speaking of community, happy Pride Month. I have my Pride things here. I don't put them outside because I travel and unfortunately it's not always safe. But I have my little shrine that's growing. All these things have a story, but I won't go into it right now. So anyway, yes, happy Pride to my fellow queers, my allies, all y'all. Thanks. All right. So, anything else for the first quarter? Nope. Okay. Second quarter. All right, so this is, I forget what it's called, but it's lightning glass. I think that's what it's called. It basically happens when lightning strikes the beach and makes water and sand mix to turn into glass. By the way, if you hear speckles on my roof, it's because it's starting to rain. It probably looks darker than it did when I started out. But anyway, what does this have to tell us for the second quarter? Make do with what you have. Does the lightning ever plan to hit the beach? Who knows? But can it make glass? Yeah. This is your sign and opportunity. Sometimes you can make stuff out of nothing. And you might be surprised out of the stuff that you can make. I somehow get the feeling like we might be doing some boycotts around the second month of June. Yeah. Remember, you can stock up on stuff beforehand. You can go shop elsewhere, that kind of thing. Remember, if we do not hold corporations accountable, they will just keep doing this stuff. And it actually benefits nobody. Doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have. If you are not a CEO of this corporation, it does not benefit you to pay more than the things are worth. So please pay attention to ways that you can band with other people and you can still stay home, if that's what you want. Make something out of nothing. I really, and you know, if it feels like something is falling apart in your life, I'm going to remind you that again. Make something out of nothing. We do it all the time. And it's creative. And creative is also an act of revolution in itself. Anything else? No. Okay. Third quarter. It's a piece of like, I think this was the top of a jug at some point. Also got this mudlarking. What does this mean? Some things are gonna break. Oh my god, what kinds of things? I love that from Spirit. Things. Cool. What do we do with the brokenness? Oh, we don't have to do anything. We can observe it. Sometimes we gotta let things fall. It's okay. It's okay. Doesn't have to be bad. Okay? Sometimes things just need to break. And that's all right. And we, as our overworked, overaccomplished, anxiety-ridden folks, we just want to keep holding it together, right? Not everything is meant to be held together, and that's okay. That's okay. If it's not yours to fix, it's not yours to fix. You can still do your job. You can still do what you need to do for your family. You don't have to fix somebody else's problems. This feels like on a larger scale. Okay? Let it fall. Whew. Okay. Last quarter. This is a claw. Little claw thing. It's hollow on the inside. Ooh, we're gonna see what shells are there. Okay, like shells of systems. Okay. I think we're going to get the opportunity to see how hollow some things are that we were told were working just fine. Okay. I'm being told, like, it's still a claw. Like, it still can do some stuff. Like, it can still latch on to stuff. But we also need to recognize that not everything is going to be able to have the oomph, the muscle, the power behind it to actually do something. So I think in part what this is telling us as well is be aware of when people are just talking smoke. When they got all bark and they're no bite. Use your intuition, use your street smarts, use your life experience. Use a history book, okay? That's another great one, okay? History is just constantly repeating itself because people like to forget that the history happened in the first place. Yeah, we still have access to history. Go look up some stuff, okay? This feels like an attempt of power through threat. You get to choose if you're going to be threatened. And I think it's so interesting that literally just fell out of my fingers. An attempt at power, and it fell. Interesting, huh? All this to say, and I told this to my workshoppers this past time around, we don't have to be afraid of change. Like, we're in a world right now that's telling us that we have to be afraid of change. Dude, look at our ancestors. They would go through change all the time. They didn't always know what the weather was going to be. They did their best. But still, change happens. And it's okay. Your mindset is going to be very important here. You also get to choose how you are going to change. If you are going to change. And also a word of warning, real quick, in regards to spiritual circles. That's another thing I told my workshoppers. When people are not doing the work to stay grounded, and when people are reaching for the most fantastical things, their reads are going to get sideways. I have noticed this firsthand with people when they read without consent. A lot of people have protective measures in place. I know I do. Where they come and they get sideways reads on people. Where there's like an ounce of truth, but the rest of it's off. And they spend the rest of the reading just grabbing and grabbing and grabbing at whatever they can get. Right? Unfortunately, due to fear, people are going to start experiencing more spiritual psychosis. And I don't just mean the woo-woo. I also mean traditional religions as well. This does not mean we have to cut them off. This does not mean that we need to make them feel inferior or make them feel bad. This is a reminder that should you care about them, you will remind them to ground, to take a break, to go touch some grass, whatever. Turn the device off. Psychosis doesn't have to mean cut off. There are a lot of spiritual things that are going to be coming about. I've been looking at this month for months and months now, wondering what in the world is going to happen. Even the gods are figuring out what the heck is going to happen, especially by the end of the month into the summer solstice. We're all figuring it out right now. But because we're all figuring it out right now, we all get to decide where the heck we're going to go. And we get to decide, are we simply going to throw people out because they are caught up in their emotions and they're seeing crooked? Or are we going to be able to give them grace and understanding and say, hey, how can you help you in this scenario? Rather than focusing on everybody else and the state of the world and the what ifs and the wins and the whys, how do we turn it back to ourselves so that we can be our best selves and simply move forward? If you are noticing people kind of going buck wild with the predictions right now, and they're really just adding to the mayhem that is everything else in the world, decide for yourself, is that really what you want to absorb? Maybe it is. It's really up to you. For me, I'm going to try to do the best I can do for myself and to share that with the rest of you, because that's my integrity. What's yours? And on that note, thank you so much for joining for this special podcast episode. You will know when the next podcast comes out, because it will come out so long as you're subscribed or you're following my free Patreon. Yay. Don't lose track of that. Okay? Otherwise, I don't know when it's coming out because I got a lot to do this month. So excuse me while I go under a rock. If you are a part of my Patreon community, you will see me. If you have pre-existing consultations, yes, you will see me. But otherwise, beyond that, beyond kind of blowing through some of my drafts that I have in TikTok for short form videos, I will not be as present because I will be in writing and acting and editing and all sorts of everything else mode. And with that said, thank you so much for joining. As always, stay curious and remember, understanding fights fear.